Hello guys, this is Charaz, and this is, I think it's going to be the first video on the Bear Arms channel, which I'm running with a friend of mine. And yeah, I finally got my beta invite to Warlords of Draenor yesterday, and thus I'm going to play a very laggy walkthrough through some dungeons of the new beta. And the first one, I actually queued for every dungeon that is that has been opened yet. I also wiped 2 times in the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds because I need to use the dungeon finder, since this is in a US realm and I'm in a German time zone, CET +1, and thus there isn't many people on that server, and I can't really find a pre-made group for it. However, I'm having a blast right now. It's very good to play a beta to for. Wait, let me just get out of there. Okay, it's quite fun to play a beta of my favorite game right now. Well, it has always been my favorite game, and yeah, it's nice to test everything they've done. Although I disagree with some things they've done to the Warlocks, especially, which I will talk about in some later videos. I guess especially about the affliction spec. You're gonna watch some videos about it if you want to. And whatever. This add-on feels nice, and the instances, although this is quite an easy instance or quite an easy dungeon, they're better than the Mr. Pandaria heroics, am I right? They feel much better. They're much more fun. And yeah. Well, and while we're clearing the trash here, let me just talk a bit about the Demonology Warlock. Since I'm playing Demonology here, which has always been my favorite Warlock spec since I'm playing Warlock, I think it... Oh, silence, cool. There hasn't been changed much. Of course, the Warlock is lacking Fell Flame and some minor abilities, but it doesn't really change much. Although I miss Twilight Ward. I really miss Twilight Ward. It's kind of weird. I'm used to spamming Twilight Ward when I'm walking through a Mayor City or something like that, like the shrine in the Horde shrine in the Mr. Pandaria area. I'm kind of used to spam that ability while doing something, while running through that area, and I'm stunned because it's, I don't know, and lacking an ability to spam while running is actually, I don't know, it's kind of it's a pain. Really hurts my feelings. Anyways, also Twilight Ward was a very good ability, very situational, and it was fun to use it at like Gug'rokks Heroic or Gug'rokks Heroic and stuff like that. It's nice. It has always been nice that you have been able to use some abilities to. This is so laggy. To regulate the damage that has been incoming. Although Warlocks didn't really take any damage in the Siege of Orgrimmar. Yeah, whatever. I'm really missing this ability, and I think they also got rid of Fell Flame, which isn't a big deal for a Demonology Warlock because I haven't used it that often in that spec. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to get rid of Fell Flame for Demonology Warlocks. However, for Destruction and Affliction Warlocks, this is a pain because they can't do anything else while running, especially Affliction Warlocks. Well, whatever. Let's talk about that boss. Some stuff. Well, I'm really trying to get to commentate on what I'm doing, but should really try to get to fit the class changes into the class change video and all that stuff. But I'm having so much fun with that beta, and yeah, that boss is actually pretty easy. His one major ability that you want to avoid as a warlock or as a ranged or is a caster, should say that. He turns in your direction, and then he casts some kind of a cleave towards you. And if you stand inside of it, oh, okay, that's also something he does. If you stand inside of it, you get stunned and you take a lot of damage. And sometimes he jumps towards you and roots you and stuns you actually. And I think the tank needs taunted off you. I don't really. That's the ability I meant before. The tank has to taunt it off you, I think, or it's just a few second fixate. I don't really know. But yeah, it's quite an easy boss. It's kind of straightforward. It's a good first boss of this instance, and hey, there's some loot. But however, I think it's quite an easy boss if you compare it to the bosses in Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, for example, which you will see in the next video, I think, and the other dungeon, the reworked Blackrock Spire, Upper Blackrock Spire, because the other one hasn't been opened yet, I think. Oh, there is no. Okay, there is only the Upper Blackrock Spire. Whatever. This is the wrong direction. Should be aware of that. Oh. And yeah. Whatever. Just fighting the trash. So you'll see all those instances or all those dungeons in other videos and that stuff. I don't know if I should play them as a Demonology Warlock, because Demonology is it's quite a fun spec, and it's nice to see that this spec is actually viable in Warlords of Draenor, because it's the only Warlock spec that provides you with some movement and all that stuff. However, I think I will also try Destruction Affliction at some points. I have already tried Affliction, and I really wasn't pleased with that spec, and I will talk about that later in another video, because this is actually about this instance. Yeah, whatever. I think this is an easier instance. It's the easiest of the three instances that they. I should say dungeons. It's much easier. It's the easiest of the three dungeons that they already opened for the beta testers. It's still quite fun. I need to give that to Blizzard, but I think the bosses are quite easy compared to the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds and all that. There is one boss in here, I believe, that's quite fun. It's the third boss. We'll see that soon. But I think there is some potential in this instance that hasn't been used correctly. Yeah, but I think it's a nice instance. It has a cool atmosphere, especially compared to the MOP dungeons and all that stuff. And I'm gonna cast some Chaos Waves just because I forgot to use Hand of Gul'dan. However, it's quite a cool dungeon, and I think it's better than all those Mr. Pandaria dungeons. Although I can't really say that, because I've been running those MOP dungeons for 2 years right now, and this is new, so new dungeons are always better, and we'll see how this pays off. But actually, it's quite a good instance so far. I think I should actually start to interrupt stuff, but I just don't know. I'm not really good at multitasking. Not all the things. Well, however, I think just to keep myself talking, I think they should really change the affliction spec and some of the new beta builds. I hope they do, because this spec is actually really boring, the affliction spec, and I'm really sad because of that, because shouldn't have been in melee range. Because it was quite fun during Mr. Pandaria, although the Soul Swap abuse actually didn't really... it wasn't really good. I didn't really like it. But it was quite a fun spec overall, and it's... I don't know, I just dislike keeping up my dots and all that stuff and just do nothing. I just don't like this. And this is why I think they should change something. Whatever, we're at the second boss, and this is not actually the boss, I believe. He's going to summon another boss, which you can see behind him, and yeah, it's also pretty straightforward. There's some ads that are casting some AoEs, and there is some stuff, some fire which actually spawns under random players' feet, or every player's feet, and then there is this these earth spikes that I just stood inside, but they didn't do that much damage. I think this is this is kind of scaled quite easy. Whatever. Yeah, and the second boss actually does the same as the first one, only faster. And he also does this kind of AoE thing that melees need to avoid, but it's not really of my concern, since I'm usually a ranged character. And there are some hats he actually summons, and that I make sure to put my dots on, because I want to get some fury. And since he's an execute range, I really want to get my second Dark Soul up and just nuke him down. I think this is this boss is more interesting than the first one, because he actually has some more abilities, but he isn't that strong. Now we get to the third boss. There is a small video sequence that actually shows us how he gets summoned by the final boss, which gets back to the final room. Anyways, ooh, I'm needy. That's good. No. Everybody else just skipped the cinematic, because they've seen it a lot of times, but I haven't. Whoops. And yeah, this third boss is actually going to be very interesting. I think it's one of the more interesting bosses of the new of all those dungeons, because it has a lot of potential. Can be very hard to beat in like the new challenge mode or even heroic mode, because if you don't have the damage, he just enrages. He doesn't have a normal enrage, but what he does is he sets the bridge you're standing on fire and shoots some meteors at you, and if there is a lot of fire on that bridge, you can't avoid those meteors, and then you die. This is basically gonna happen on heroic if you don't have enough DPS or that stuff. And I think that's pretty nice. So if they don't really, if we don't outgear it, and if they don't scale it too easy, they don't make it too easy to beat that boss. It's gonna be a pain for random groups, and that's why I really like it. I really like that boss. I hope it survives quite some time here. Just show you what he's doing. Oh, let's stun those guys. I'd really like to see what he's gonna do. I'd really like to see the bridge on fire, actually. But I don't think that's gonna happen. However. Also, this is the first boss you might consider speccing Gug'rokks Cunning for as a Warlock. Although Gug'rokks Cunning has been nerfed quite a lot, he also pushes you off the bridge sometimes. And then you probably want to move during that phase. And you can't cast while moving as a non-Demonology Warlock, and there is the meteor. He shoots at you. I really like that boss. Let's just get out of its way. Yeah, it doesn't die that fast. I've seen some videos that of groups that have killed him quite fast, and therefore he wasn't able to set the bridge on fire. But I really like this mechanic. Now he actually sets the bridge on fire, and you need to get out of there, and all that stuff. And now he shoots the second meteor, and now you, for example, can't go to the right there, and all that. And if he lives longer in the final version, it's gonna be a good fight. Okay, still in the fire. Shouldn't do that. There's spirit on that cloak. Also, it's really nice to spec Demonology for this kind of a fight, because there is some movement involved in that fight, and thus you really wanna be able to move while getting out of the fire or the meteors and all that stuff. Yeah. Also, what I really like about this dungeon is that it's quite short. I also like long dungeons, but for random groups that only farm their, I don't know, justice points or valor points, it's gonna be quite a good dungeon to get into. It's not a hard dungeon. It's gonna be quite easy to clear it and all that stuff. Just compared to the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, for example. And I kinda like that. I like that as long as there are also hard dungeons or longer dungeons and all that stuff in this game, which there actually seems to be. Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, for example. I'm using this dungeon to compare other things to quite often, and that's because they haven't opened many dungeons. As you can see here, there's only 3 dungeons open, and yeah, I think this is the easiest one of them, and the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds is the hardest one of them, and thus I'm gonna compare both to each other. And I'm really getting distracted by the lags that I'm having. I think this is either because of my bad internet or the bad server. They restarted it a few minutes ago. We'll see how this works out. But I'm not being disconnected, and since this is a beta, I can be really happy about that. Am I actually okay? Yeah. These orbs are randomly shooting fire at you. Just thought I stood in one of them. I could stun them, I think, but it's not needed here. The tank is not taking any damage. Yeah, this is the final boss, and I think this boss is not as great as the bridge boss. I will call it the bridge boss. He also spawns fire under your feet, which you need to get out of, and he also spawns an ad. And if the ad, you'll see in it, there it is, if the ad reaches whatever this is, if the ad reaches that, it's gonna shoot AoE at your group, and you really want to prevent this from happening, especially on heroic or challenge mode. I hope on heroic, I hope that these ads don't die as fast on heroic, and that this boss is gonna do some damage on heroic too. Well, the group is dropping at least, which I haven't seen in a while. What I'm kind of slightly concerned about is the mana regeneration, or the mana regeneration during life tab of a Demonology Warlock. Because it's actually not regenerating that much mana. And if you can hear that sound in the background, that's my dog, that actually sleeps in my room. Am I gonna roll on that? Yeah, why not? Yeah, and that's it. I think this instance, or this dungeon, is gonna be interesting on heroic. But right now it's kinda easy. Have there been any? No. Yeah, I think it's kinda easy. But it's okay. It's not as easy as the Mist of Pandaria dungeons. And yeah, that's it for the first video. If you want to see more videos of the beta dungeons and guides and all that stuff, and I will certainly also take part in the raid tests with my guild. If you want to see that, subscribe to this channel. I'm actually gonna upload stuff frequently. All that stuff. Like I'm also gonna go through all the specs, not only of the Warlock, but also of the Monk and Priest, Mage, all that stuff. I think I'm gonna keep it to damage dealer classes and specs, but we'll see what's gonna happen. Yeah, if you want to see that, stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel. And yeah, see you later then.